Zombie deer disease could spread to humans after the first ever case was detected in Yellowstone National Park last month. Scientists have warned that the fatal brain virus, which leaves animals confused, drooling, and unafraid of humans, may someday infect people. The alarm was raised after a deer carcass tested positive for chronic wasting disease, a prion-transmitted disease, which can eventually cause fatal neurological symptoms in deer and related species in Yellowstone National Park in November. In recent years, the virus spread to more than 31 U.S. states, 2 Canadian provinces, and even South Korea.
This island in Russia should not exist, and it is the most dangerous island in the world. In 1983, 95% of the island's residents, which is nearly 40,000 people, kind of virus that came from the radiation. They were all wandering mindlessly and carelessly, as if their brain had been taken over. Here's the scariest part. They began attacking those that have not been infected and started eating them. The helicopter crew described it as a zombie apocalypse straight out of a movie. Till this day, the island still stands with these infected humans. The Russian government sends the most dangerous of inmates on this island to survive as a punishment. None have ever lasted longer than 48 hours.
In an old video from 1995, a theology professor named Pierre Gilbert warned of mandatory vaccines that would turn recipients into zombies. He speaks in French, so I will translate. In the biological destruction, there are the organized tempests on the magnetic fields. What will follow is the contamination of the bloodstreams of mankind, creating intentional infections. This will be enforced via laws that will make vaccination mandatory. And these vaccines will make possible to control people. The vaccines will have liquid crystals that will become hosted in the brain cells, which will become micro receivers of electromagnetic fields, where waves of very low frequencies will be sent. And through these low-frequency waves, people will be unable to think. You'll be turned into a zombie. Don't think of this as a hypothesis. This has been done. Think of Rwanda.
If you feel enough pain, does everything just shut down?
Not bacteria, not viruses, so fungus.
Yes, that's the usual response. Fungi seem harmless enough. Many species know otherwise, because there are some fungi who seek not to kill, but to control. Let me ask you, where do we get LSD from?
Where do you get it from?
It comes from ergot, a fungus. Psilocybin, also a fungus. Viruses can make us ill, but fungi can alter our very minds. There's a fungus that infects insects. Gets inside an ant, for example, travels through its circulatory system to the ant's brain and then floods it with hallucinogens, thus bending the ant's mind to its will. Fungus starts to direct the ant's behavior, telling it where to go, what to do, like a puppeteer with a marionette. And it gets worse. The fungus needs food to live, so it begins to devour its host from within, replacing the ant's flesh with its own. But it doesn't let its victim die, no. It keeps its puppet alive by preventing decomposition. How? Where do we get penicillin from?
Fungus. Dr. Schoenheiser, you're in distress.
Fungal infection of this kind is real, but not in humans.
True, fungi cannot survive if its host's internal temperature is over 94 degrees. And currently there are no reasons for fungi to evolve to be able to withstand high temperatures. But what if that were to change? What if, for instance, the world were to get slightly warmer? Well, now there is reason to evolve.
This one is behaving oddly. It seems compelled to climb upwards and is already several meters above the forest floor. Something has taken control of its movements, like a puppeteer pulling at the strings of a marionette. There's just one final act for which the ant has no choice. It must find a place to bite down, tethering it to the vegetation. With the ant in its death grip, a parasitic fungus, cordyceps, erupts from its body. Finally, the fruiting body of the fungus bursts from its head. From this bulbous container, spores will be cast into the air currents, where they will claim more ant victims. But it's not just ants. Many others are infected by the cordyceps fungus.
This is a zombie insect. He's not alive, but incredibly, he's not dead either.
No body? Just a head, only one wing, and he's crawling. It's a fucking zombie.
The nervous system of these insects was manipulated by a silent killer. This cicada can't control its own body, which has already been taken over by another being. Although it's still alive, its organism is slowly being devoured. And here is the culprit.
You see it at the bottom right here. You see how the bottom, the abdomen is missing, and it's replaced by this powdery mass of fungal spores. So what you're seeing here is a cicada infected by the pathogenic fungus Massospora cicadina.
Once the insect is infected by the fungus, it induces it to continue spreading its spores, commanding its body to continue its lineage. Somehow, the cicadas manage to survive this infectious parasite. However, their behavior changes completely. The males begin to behave like females, which attracts the males to reproduce, and in the act, they become infected by Massospora cicadina. This makes the phenomenon not only a pandemic, but also a sexually transmitted disease.
Particularmente el hongo Massospora cicadina afecta a la cigarra y lo que provoca es que libera dos sustancias. Entre ellas, una de ellas es la alucinógena. Por eso es que las cigarras generan un comportamiento errático y diferente a lo normal, a lo que podríamos ver en una cigarra normal. Por ello es que se le habla como un bicho zombie, justamente porque están con su comportamiento completamente alterado, producto de estas sustancias que va liberando el hongo cuando ya se aloja en el insecto.
On the bright side, this macabre fungus only awakens in an interval of 14 to 20 years.